सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So we were seeing this new topic that Bhagavan Shri Adi Shankaracharya Ji as the Guru has started here, and that is of ahankara. We saw in the last session from verse number 298, this topic of ahankara, Bhashyakara has started. He says, Santi अन्ये प्रतिबंधाः पुंसः संसारहेतवो दृष्टाः तेषाम् एवं मूलं प्रथम विकारः भवति अहंकारः. He says there are many obstacles in our path to liberation. As we all know, various negative tendencies that we have, Shadripus, what sometimes they are called, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, from where they all are born, that Raga, Dvesha, all these are obstacles, agreed. But he says, Tesham evam moolam prathamah vikarah bhavati ahankara. But their first modification of that ajnana and the root of all these negative tendencies is ahankara. He continues by saying that as long as this ahankara persists, so long we cannot even speak about liberation. Yavat syat swasya sambandha ahankarena duratmana tavanna lesha matrapi muktivarta vilakshana bhavati. As long as we have connection with this ahankara, which is duratmana, which is very wicked, till then not even dialogue of liberation is possible. We cannot even talk about liberation. Which means even if we try to control the vikaras, the negative tendencies, even we try to eliminate them completely, so long ahankara persists, liberation is not possible. Now, sometimes what happens, people get confused. They say, Vedji, sometimes it is said that till the time vasanas are there, liberation is not possible. Now, here it is said, as long as ahankara is there, liberation is not possible. Sometimes it is said that as long as that ajnana is not totally gone, liberation is not possible. Sometimes they say, so long you don't get the self-knowledge which converts itself into an experience, direct experience, till then liberation is not possible. So, out of these, which one we have to do first? See, the thing is, all this will happen simultaneously. In chess, in the game of chess, you see the main game is what? The king of the opponent, we have to mate. Checkmate. Checkmate means you have to keep on giving check to that king till the time it cannot move anywhere else. And where it is at the moment, that also is not the position for that king. So, to attack the king, that king is protected by so many other soldiers and horse and elephant and all these people, rook and bishop. You all are aware chess, you have played. So, there are different techniques of playing chess, right? Some people, they start eating all other soldiers first and then they attack the king. Some people, they keep doing both simultaneously. Keep attacking, and at the same time, keep killing all the other things also. Some people, they say, forget about all that. Let us directly go for the king. Now, different techniques can be there. The end point is one and the same. So, one can say that I am starting with attacking the outer mental negativities that we have. Somebody says that no, I am going to attack the ego. Somebody says no, I am going to reduce vasanas. Somebody says I am going to attack the ignorance only directly, and therefore I am going to get that atmajnana. See, all these things are one and the same. The ego will be totally destroyed when there are no more vasanas. Ego will be totally destroyed when ajnana is totally destroyed. Because ego is not a problem. Our identification with that ego is the problem, which is nothing but ignorance, which is born out of ignorance. So, as long as that ignorance is there, ego is still there. Now, when you say that ignorance is totally destroyed, that is what is called as aparokshanubhuti, when that knowledge then converts itself into experience. So, please don't get confused. These are just different ways of explaining the same state. So, when that ego is finally destroyed, vasanas are destroyed, ignorance is destroyed, and that self-knowledge becomes direct experience, that is the moment liberation is possible. Right? So, all these things are one and the same. They are just different ways of telling the same thing. Also, when we are talking about it, see, sadhana, what does sadhana do? All these things sadhana does. When we are performing sadhana, it also reduces ego, it also attacks ignorance, it also is reducing the vasanas, and it is also strengthening the knowledge. So, again, all things are happening simultaneously. So, it is not linear progression. That okay, now first 5 years you work on ego, then next 5 years vasana, then next 5 years ajnana, then next 5 years that atmajnana will become anubhuti. It's not like that. As we keep on doing, all these things are happening simultaneously. Alright, so please don't get confused. Because in the same text we have seen earlier, vasana topic was discussed, and he said that as long as that vasana is there, we will not get liberation. Before that, when the topic of ajnana and the samula nasha, etc. was explained, then again that same point came that as long as this ajnana is not totally destroyed, liberation is not possible. Aparokshanubhuti topic also has come in the same text, right? So, these are all same concepts explained in different ways. Right? So, now what is he saying? He is saying that we have to first, either you say you have to first remove ahankara, or you say you have to finally remove ahankara. Ahankara grahan muktah swarupam upapadyate. Only when you are totally free from this ahankara, ego, then only you see your own true nature. Chandravat vimalaha purnaha sadananda swayam prabha. Like the moon, vimalaha, pure, purnaha, full, infinite, sadanandaha, extremely of the nature of bliss, swayam prabha, and self-luminous. This kind of moon you will be able to experience when it is freed from the ahankara called as Rahu. Last time we were seeing this, that the example is of lunar eclipse. In the lunar eclipse, when the moon is covered, in our epics, in Purana, Itihasa, etc., it is explained as Rahu eating the moon. Rahu, which has only face, eats the moon, and then because there is no body, it comes out from its throat. So moon goes for some time, vanishes, and then again comes out. So that Rahu is explained here as that ahankara. And very interestingly, it is a very apt example because ahankara is also like that only. It has only head. There are no hands and legs to ahankara. And therefore it takes help of mind and body, etc. to do all the work. It is only the I. And you see, when we say I also, our head only is moving. it only says I am. This ahankara is the one which is stopping us from realizing our true nature. So as long as we have not totally discarded this ahankara, this ego, we will not get liberation. Now, what is this ahankara, from where it is coming and why it is coming, etc., is explained in the next verse. Let us see verse number 301. Yeah, please repeat. Yo va pure sohamiti pratītah buddhyā prakḻptastamasātimūḍhayā tasyaiva niḥśeṣatayā vināśe brahmātmabhāvaḥ pratibandhaśūnyaḥ yo va pure sohamiti pratītah buddhyā prakḻptastamasātimūḍhayā tasyaiva niḥśeṣatayā vināśe brahmātmabhāvaḥ pratibandhaśūnyaḥ. Yah va, one who is indeed pure in the city of the body. Body is compared with the city. Earlier also this topic had come, right? In Bhagavad Gita also, in Upanishads also, Navadvara Pura, Puram Ekadashadvaram in Kathopanishad, etc. This topic comes, right? So the body is compared with the city of 9 gates or city of 11 gates. Yah va pure saha aham iti pratītah, that which appears in the body as I am this. Okay. Buddhyā. Why is it appearing buddhyā? Because of the intellect. Prakḻptastamasā. Prakḻptaha means created, imagined. Imagined by tamas. Imagined by tamas. Atimūḍhayā, which is extremely deluded. Right? So now this prakḻptastamasa is actually speaking about that this ego is born from ignorance. Tamas here means ignorance. Praklipta, okay, kl. It is not lr. Okay, it may look like there is a l and there is a rkara to it. Can you see that praklipta? But in Sanskrit, this l is a separate swara. It's a vowel. Like a, e, u, r, l. L is a separate vowel in Sanskrit. Okay, so that k is joined with that l, and therefore prakḻptastamasātimūḍhayā. Okay, very rarely it is used, and this klip is one dhatu where it is used. Klip kalpane, to imagine. So this prakliptaha means that which is imagined. Prakarshena kliptaha. Kalpana word comes from this klip dhatu, right? So prakliptastamasā, prakliptaha tamasa, tamasa prakliptaha. Tamasa prakliptaha means created by this tamas, created by this ignorance, atimūḍhayā. That atimūḍhayā can be connected to tamasa or to buddhyā. Both it can be connected to. What it means is, this ego which is created from ignorance. Created from ignorance means not knowing one's true nature, it identifies with something else and says, I am this. In the body, that is what it does. That is called as ego. Example. If we ask this question, what exactly is this ego? Just think about it, okay? What all things about us we know? Body, we know. Senses, we know. That 5 organs of perception are there, 5 organs of action are there. Then mind, intellect, etc. The inner indriyas also, antarindriyas also we know. Mind is there, which has feelings. Intellect is there, which has thoughts, ideas, logic. Smriti, memory is there. And then we are told that there is something called as ahankara. Isn't it? Mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. 4 antarindriyas are there. Right. Then there is a causal body also. Karana sharira also is there. And beyond all these things, there is self, which is my true nature. Right. This much is our understanding of ourselves. Right. Body, we have experienced body. Senses we have experienced. Pranas we have experienced. Mind, we know what is mind. Intellect, we know what is intellect. Memory also. Now, what is this ahankara? All other things we have experienced. What is this ego? Have we experienced this ego? No, we have not. You know why? Because ego is the experiencer. The one who has experienced all these things is the ego. Careful. Who knows that this is my body? Who knows that this is my mind? Who knows what I am thinking? The one who knows is the ego. Okay. Now, careful. If ego is the knower, if ego is the knower, then that ego is different from all other instruments, isn't it? Body, mind, intellect. It becomes different. But still, it is joined with mano, buddhi, chitta, and it is said to be the antarindriya, the inner equipment, instrument. Now, this is where little confusion comes. Is it an instrument or is it someone using the instruments? If it is an instrument, then it should be experienced. Just like I am experiencing body, senses, pranas, etc. If it is the experiencer, then it should not be included in the instrument. Right? Problem arises because actually there is nothing called as ignorance. There is nothing called as ego. I remember one story we had seen. I don't know whether you remember or not, but I remember the story of Mani Mama. Remember Mani Mama? In that marriage, one fellow was there who was working and continuously from both sides. Remember? Whenever the bride side will ask, he will tell that I am from groom side. Whenever groom's anybody asks, he will tell that I am from bride. Then somehow both the parties came to know that this fellow is living here for long, many days, but he doesn't belong to. The moment the inquiry starts, Mani Mama vanishes. That is this ego. It belongs neither to the instrument nor to the self. It is a concept which has come about in between both of them. If it belongs to the instrument, then it should be experienced. Understand the problem. If it belongs to the experiencer, then it should not be included in the instrument. It should become the self. It is neither the instrument nor the self. But the entity is there. As long as we are in delusion, it exists. What it exists at? It exists as this false identifying ego which says, I am this. I am this. That is this ego. Yahava pure saha aham iti pratīto. And what is it born from? It's coming from ignorance only. Prakḻptastamasātimūḍhayā. Buddhyā, through the intellect only it has come to exist. Atimūḍhayā, and it's extremely deluded intellect. Why extremely deluded intellect? Because ignorance will be there only when there is ignorance. Ego will be there, ahankara will be there only when there is a ignorance of the self and there is a delusion of something else, of body, mind, intellect. Then alone that ahankara, that ego will be there. And therefore, atimūḍhayā buddhyā prakliptastamasā prakliptaha. It is created by this kind of ignorant, deluded intellect. Right? So, ego is this feeling of I am so and so. It's a very, very, very technical term. In Vedanta, this ego is not the usual ego which we speak in our colloquial language. We say, no, this person has got a lot of ego. That ego is different. That is pride, where a person considers oneself to be bigger or greater than what that person is. That's a very different kind of phenomenon there. Isn't it? This ego is something that everybody, all of us have got. Right? So, it is a feeling of I am so and so. And it is created by extremely deluded and ignorant intellect. That is what this ego is. See, to imagine or to understand this ego, no, imagine it like this. Nowadays, all of us have got social media profiles and accounts are there. Isn't it? Social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of that has account, isn't it? Now that is our false ego. Right? Why? Because we are living in a virtual digital world and that account is our presence in that virtual digital world. Correct? Now, remember, whatever we are doing on that account, the repercussions of it, the good things, bad things, everything come to that account. If we have number of likes then they are gathered in that account. If there are wrongdoings, etc., banned, everything happens in that account. Twitter, all social media, there is that account. Now, please remember, whatever we are getting, whether praise we are getting or criticism we are getting, it is coming to that account, not to me. Correct? I got 1,000 likes, 1 million followers, this, that, etc., etc. All that is there. That account. In my actual life, I am not getting anything. But it is the one which is doing all the things in that account. Punya, papa, associated to that account. And that's why, just as we start getting into this and, these film stars, movie, the sports people, etc., when they have account and their followers, etc., are there, many people hack that account. Hack that account means somebody else is using that account. So they will post suddenly something and people will think that, oh, he has posted or she has posted this. Now what? Immediately whoever is that person immediately posts saying that my account is hacked. Please don't accept anything that is said here. Why? Because it is not me. Exactly like that, we have to also do in our life. Punya, papa, mana, apamana, everything is coming to this ahankara. Not to me. Not to me. All emails are coming to that account, not to me. Anybody may say anything. I may feel that I have lots of followers. When I come to my room, me and my sofa, these are the only two things which are there. No follower, no likes, no nothing is there. Actual life and this virtual life is very different. In the same way, this life which we call as actual life and our real supreme existence are very different. As long as we are considering ourselves to be this ego, there will be all these kinds of punya, papa, mana, apmana, everything will be there. But I am none of that. Are you getting the point? You must have seen sometimes children, they start playing some games on phone and they become so involved with it that what they do in the game, they start doing it actually also. And that's why many games are banned in the entire country, because too much violence. See, in the game when you are doing violence, it is okay because nobody is actually dying. But it becomes so ingrained, it becomes so real that even after coming out of that game, they behave in the same way. Shankaracharya is telling us all the violence, all the negativities, all the things that are giving you sorrow, they only belong to ego. Don't bring that to your real self. Keep it there. Tasyaiva niḥśeṣatayā vināśe. When you completely understand that I am not that ego, tasya ahankarasya eva niḥśeṣatayā vināśe, when it is totally destroyed, on its total annihilation, destruction, brahmātmabhāvaḥ, pratibandhaśūnyaḥ. Then alone we will experience that oneness with Brahman, Brahma Atma Bhavaha. The experience of me myself being that Brahman. Pratibandhaśūnyaḥ. Pratibandha means obstacle. Pratibandha, obstacle. Shunya, without any obstacle. This Brahmātmabhāvaḥ, this experience of me being Brahman will become obstacle-less, unobstructed experience it will be. So, ahankara is like the king. in that board, in the game of chess. As long as that king is standing, the game is going on. The moment king is checkmate, then what happens? Even if you have all other things, solid army is there and queen is still there and pawns are there and rook is there, it doesn't matter, the game ends. This king is ego. As long as it is there, the game of life continues. Life after life, the game of life continues. The moment that king is attacked and is defeated, the game ends. No more birth, no more samsara, no more ajnana, no more sorrow. Right? That is what. See how beautifully Shankaracharya has explained. Now, the same concept is now given in a rupaka, in an extended metaphor. Let us see. Next verse number 302. Brahmānanda-nidhiṃ ahaṅkāra-ghōrāhinā saṃveṣṭyātmani rakṣyate guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ ceddehe vijñānākhyamahāsinā śrutimatā vicchidya śrīrṣatrayaṃ nirmūlyāhimimaṃ nidhiṃ sukhakaraṃ dhīro'nubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ little higher pitch I will chant when I am chanting. Brahmānanda-nidhiṃ-mahabalavatā-ahaṅkāra-ghōrāhinā saṃveṣṭyātmani rakṣyate guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ vijñānākhyamahāsinā śrutimatā vicchidya śrīrṣatrayaṃ nirmūlyāhimimaṃ nidhiṃ sukhakaraṃ dhīro'nubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ. Wow, beautiful verse. Another example of a poet in Shankaracharya ji coming to forefront. What does he say? Brahmānanda nidhihi. Now let us understand word to word meaning first, then we will join everything together. Whenever big long verses are there, don't get now scared. Okay, if we break it into smaller parts, then it is not that difficult. Okay, Brahmānanda nidhihi. Brahma Ananda, the bliss of the self, bliss of Brahman is nidhi. Nidhi means treasure. So that bliss of Brahman or Brahman is compared with a treasure. Mahabalavata ahankara ghora ahina rakṣyate. And that treasure is protected or what we can say saṃveṣṭya. It is enwrapped. Saṃveṣṭya means it is covered. It is covered by what? Mahabalavata, very strong, ahankara ghora ahina. Ahi means serpent. That serpent which is covering the treasure or which is protecting or what we can say stopping, guarding is that ahankara. Okay. Ego is compared with serpent. But you see the kind of adjectives used. Mahabalavata, Ghora, very strong, and Ghora means terrible. Terrible snake, mighty and dreadful serpent is there, which is compared with ego. Saṃveṣṭyā, it is covering. It's covering this nidhi. Atmani rakṣyate, and it is what we say is guarded in the mind only. That nidhi, that treasure is not somewhere else. It's within me, but I am not able to see. What that bliss of Brahman is within me. Now this serpent has got 3 hoods. 3 hoods are there. 3 heads are there. guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ tribhihi. guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ. What are these 3 hoods? 3 hoods are the 3 gunas. Sattva, rajas, tamas. 3 kinds of gunas. These are the 3 chandaihi. They are very strong, fierce hoods are there of this serpent. Right? Now, so see the first line is over now. Brahmananda nidhi. Mahabalavata ahankara ghora ahina saṃveṣṭyā atmani rakṣyate. It's protected within. guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ chandaihi tribhihi mastakaihi. And that serpent has 3 hoods, 3 heads, which are nothing but the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. 3 gunas. Now what does he say? He says, vijñānākhyamahāsinā asina. By the sword. Asi means sword. Asina, tritiya vibhakti, by the sword. What is that sword? Vijñānākhyā. The sword of pure knowledge, vijñāna, self-knowledge, experiential knowledge. Mahāsina, you see, since the serpent is Mahahi or Ghorahi, Mahabalavata, therefore the sword also has to be Maha, has to be strong, mighty sword. By the mighty sword of pure knowledge or experience, śrutimatā, which is in accordance with the opinion of the Shruti. So that Vijñāna has to be following the Shruti. So the experience or the knowledge has to be what the Shruti, what the scriptures are telling. Right? śrutimatā vicchidya śrīrṣatrayaṃ. With this sword, śrīrṣatrayaṃ vicchidya. Having cut, vicchidya, having cut the 3 hoods, śrīrṣatrayaṃ, the 3 hoods, nirmūlyāhimimaṃ ahim. And then nirmūlya, having completely removed, having completely destroyed, imam ahim, this serpent, dhīraha, a wise person, sukhakaraṃ nidhiṃ anubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ bhavati. This wise person, having cut the 3 hoods of this ahankara serpent and having completely destroyed this serpent called ahankara, then what? Kṣamaḥ bhavati, becomes capable of what? Anubhoktum, experience, becomes capable of experiencing nidhiṃ sukhakaraṃ, this treasure which brings all the joy. Why? Because what is the treasure? Brahmananda. That bliss of Brahman alone is the treasure, and therefore that treasure is sukhakara, brings joy to everyone. The person, the wise person who has cut this ahankara, the 3 hoods, and have also destroyed the serpent, becomes capable, becomes fit to experience this blissful nature of Brahman. Okay? Right. See, today we have so many audio-visual, what we say, equipment with us, isn't it? We can show animation and all these things have come out. You see, in those times, everything was made possible by only words. And you see, such a beautiful picturization Bhagavan Shankaracharya is doing only with words, that too keeping all the grammar rules, following all the rules, and also making it into a poetry. Look at the brilliance. If we have to explain like this, we will write a paragraph. And we will do 100 mistakes, grammatical mistakes in that. But you see here, Shankaracharya ji, ahina, tritiya vibhakti, is still following all the rules, that with the sword, vicchidya. He is following all the rules, and still he is making into such a beautiful poem in the correct meter, using the choicest words, and still able to communicate the entire point in such a beautiful picture. That's why we say he was one of the best philosophers and poet, because he could bring that philosophy into such a beautiful poetry. So, what is he saying? Brahmānanda nidhiṃ mahabalavata ankara ghorahina saṃveṣṭyātmani rakṣyate guṇaMāyāiścaṇḍestribhirmastakaiḥ tribhirmastakaiḥ. And this serpent which is covering the treasure, which is guarding the treasure, is actually having 3 hoods. vijñānākhyamahāsinā śrutimatā vicchidya śrīrṣatrayaṃ nirmūlyāhimimaṃ. Ahim nirmulya. Ahi also means, ahi means serpent. We have seen ahina was said. So ahim nirmulya, imam ahim nirmulya, dhīro'nubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ nidhiṃ anubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ bhavati. Becomes fit to experience this sukhakara nidhi, this treasure of bliss of the self. So now you see, treasure is bliss of Brahman. The guarding serpent, or the one who covers, is the ego, ahankara, right? Now that serpent has 3 hoods, ahankara has got 3 gunas. The sword which is to be used to cut these hoods is the sword of wisdom or experience, self-knowledge, right? Which is in accordance with Vedic injunctions. And having cut these hoods and having destroyed the serpent, then the person becomes eligible to experience or enjoy the nidhi, the treasure of bliss of Brahma. Right? When I was listening to this Vivekachoodamani when I was studying, I had listened to one very interesting interpretation. See, there is a sword, no? Sword is that of knowledge. Correct? That is what is said. Vijñānākhyamahāsinā. So Swamiji said, what is that sword we are using right now for? Right now, using the sword of knowledge, we are feeding the serpent. We are feeding our ego by that knowledge. Now you see, you don't know who I am. I am going to change my name only now. What are you going to keep your name? I have not completely thought about it, but it will be something like, Vijñāna-kesari. What Vijñāna-kesari means? I am the lion of knowledge. Achha? Oh. Pandita Martanda, like that I am going to keep my name. Why? Because I know so much. So the knowledge we are right now using to feed the ego. What is that knowledge to be used for? To cut the ego. See, you imagine, with that sword, we are feeding the serpent. Eat. Why? Because we can't put our hand, no? It will eat our hand. Therefore, using the sword, now we are feeding the ego. More and more knowledge, more and more padavi, it is called, no? More and more things we get from all over the world. We are adding it slowly. Our name starts to increase. Shri, 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 Shri. 5. See, generally they will put 3, no? I am going to put 5. 108, 1008, that is okay now. 10,008. Means what? You continue the Shri 5 times I am mentioning, but increase it up to 10,008. And then what? Then I add that Pandita Martanda. Something for what? Knowledge has to be used to kill the ego. If knowledge is increasing our ego, then we are not getting the right knowledge, or we are not getting it in the right way. Something is happening. If by getting knowledge, we are becoming more and more arrogant, we are thinking that I know now so many things and who are all you people, idiot people, you don't know anything, then that means we are not getting knowledge correctly. Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge must give us humility. Why? Because the knowledge actually makes us understand that we are nothing. More and more we study the scriptures. Scriptures are like mirror, no? They should reflect our life. And we should be able to understand what are the mistakes we are doing in our life when we are studying the scriptures. That is what is the purpose of study. If at the end of the study we think that we are some great person, then the study has gone somewhere else. The knowledge that tells us that we are nothing. Either it should tell that we are nothing, or it should tell that we are everything, that Brahman, where there is nobody else. It should go to one of the extremes. Either it should say that this ego is nothing, or it should say that ego is Brahman alone. There is nothing called as ego. There is nothing called as other people. Then and then alone, this knowledge is useful. So, we have to use the sword of knowledge to cut the hoods of this serpent of ego, not to feed it. Right? Then only śrīrṣatrayaṃ vicchidya ahim nirmūlyā sukhakaraṃ nidhiṃ anubhoktuṃkṣamaḥ bhavati. Then only we become capable of enjoying, experiencing this bliss of the self. Right? Now, continues. Shankaracharya continues. He says, now another example he gives. Let us see, verse number 303. Yāvadvā yatkiṃcidviṣadoṣasphūrtirasti asti ceddehe kathamārogyāya bhavettadvadahantāpi yogino muktyai yāvadvā yatkiṃcidviṣadoṣasphūrtirasti asti ceddehe kathamārogyāya bhavettadvadahantāpi yogino muktyai. Next verse. He says, yavat, as long as, va, indeed, vai, indeed, yat kinchit, whatever little, vishadoṣasphūrtihi, visha spurti, effect of dosha, fault or impurity of visha, poison. As long as even little bit of effect of poison is there in our body, dehe asti chet, if it is there in the body, kathamārogyāya bhavet, how can a person remain healthy? Means what? Suppose some poison has entered into our body. Okay, now see, that is why Shankaracharya is great. You look at the example. Okay, he is giving the example following the example of serpent, whom he had called ahankara as serpent. Now suppose that serpent has bitten us and that poison is there in our body, then as long as that little bit of poison also remains in the body, we are not healthy. Ahantāpi yogino mukti. In the same way, for that person who is wanting to get liberation, for that person's liberation, ahanta, ego is also like that only. Like what? Like that little bit of poison. As long as that poison persists, poison exists in the body, health is not perfect. In the same way, as long as the ego exists, liberation is not perfect. See, look at Shankaracharya. The way he is giving examples also. So what is he saying? That as long as poison is there in the body, as long as there is something else in the body which is troubling, which is eating away our health, the person is not healthy. In the same way, as long as there is this sense of ego, no liberation is possible for that person. How much ever the person may try, but because that ego is there, liberation is not possible. Yāvadvā yatkiṃcid, even a bit, even a wee bit, viṣadoṣasphūrtirasti ceddehe. If there is this viṣadosha, if there is this impurity of poison, spurti, effect of that in the body, kathamārogyāya bhavet. How can it bring health? Tadvata, in the same way, ahantāpi, even the ego, if it is there even a bit, yogino, for the person, for the meditator, for the person who is a seeker, muktyai, for liberation, how can, just as so, here, arogya is compared with mukti. Good health is not possible, mukti is not possible. Why good health is not possible? Because traces of poison are still there. Why mukti is not possible? Because traces of ahankara, ego are still there. Okay. So, that ego we have to remove completely. In the above verse also it was mentioned. Vicchidya śrīrṣatrayaṃ nirmūlyāhimimaṃ. You have to cut the 3 hoods of the serpent and destroy it completely. Then only nidhi is gained. Then only that treasure of Brahman is gained. Right? That is the main point Shankaracharya is trying to explain. Let us continue further. Few more points. Verse number 304. ahamo'tyantanivṛttyā tatkritanānā vikalpasamhṛtya pratyaktattva vivekāt idamahamasmīti vindate tattvam ahamo'tyantanivṛttyā tatkritanānā vikalpasamhṛtya pratyaktattva vivekāt idamahamasmīti vindate tattvam. He is saying, ahamaha, ahama is shashti vibhakti of aham. Of this ego, of this aham, of this ego, atyantanivṛttyā, by the total complete removal or cessation of this ego, ahamaha atyantanivṛttyā, by the complete cessation of this ego, by the total removal of ego, tatkrita, and created by that ego, nānā vikalpa samhṛtya, and by restraining various nānā vikalpa, various mental agitations, thoughts created by this ego, samhṛtya, by restraining all of them, pratyaktattva vivekāt, and by discrimination of that pratyak tattva, of that inner reality, pratyak, inner, tattva reality, that by the viveka, by discriminating that I am not this ego, but I am that supreme reality which is the self in me. By doing this viveka, pratyak tattva vivekat, idam ahamasmi iti tattvam vindate. One gains this tattvam, one gains this reality, that this reality I am. So, we have to destroy the ahankara and all the effects of ahankara and then realize our oneness with that self. That is what is to be done. In other words, I have to disassociate my identity with ego and understand that I am the self. As long as I am considering myself to be the ego, I am forgetting who I am actually. Remember the example that we had seen earlier. An actor who is actually wealthy is doing a role of a beggar. But if that actor forgets the reality and starts to beg even after the acting is over, then what? Then the problem starts. Why the problem starts? Because it has taken, or it is identified with the role and not with the actual. Are you getting this? Somehow we have forgotten our reality of the self and we have identified with ego. Okay, fine, we have identified. Don't go on being in that guilt. Why did I identify? I should not have identified only. And now you see, ho gaya. Whatever happened. Now you forget about that. You see how fast can I come out of it. Okay, somehow I got caught up in this web of samsara and therefore I am, now thinking about all these things to be me. Now, okay, fine. Now I need to understand that I am not this, but I am the self. This ahankara. So actually when we say we have to destroy ahankara, what does it mean? We have to destroy means what? See, vasanas, when it is said that we have to destroy, means we understand the logic that vasanas are giving rise to desires, and desires are becoming thoughts, and the thoughts are becoming actions. Therefore, we have to reduce the desires, and therefore the negative tendencies will slowly start to change. We understand the mechanism. When ajnana etc. is there, ignorance is there, we understand that there is ajnana, that I don't know who I am and therefore I must know who I am. That is also okay. What is this destroying ego means what? Destroying ego means to falsify the ego. Destroying ego means to not give reality to it. Don't say that it is there. As long as you give reality to it, it exists. The moment you say it is nothing, it vanishes. So actual problem is giving reality to this ego. Ego is what? Aham. See, what is the term for ego? Ahankara. Ahankara means what? Aham karoti iti ahankara. The sense which keeps on saying I do, I am doing, I am doing, I am doing. Aham iti karoti. The one who keeps saying I, one who does I. One who does I means one who keeps saying this I. That is ahankara, that is ego. The reality which we give to this I thought, which then identifies with the body, mind, intellect, etc. and starts to work in the world, the reality that we give to it is the problem. And therefore, solution is what? To falsify it, not give any reality to this ahankara. Right? Sufficient for today, because next two verses we have to do together. If we finish one verse, then it will be in between. So we will do it next time. Not a problem. Beautiful verses are coming up again. My favorite meter also. Ahankare kartaryahmyahmitim muncha sahasa. We'll see. In the next session, we'll see. All right. Chalo. We'll conclude. Om पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।